We are live on the Dynasty Roundtable, and we talk about these guys quite often on the Dynasty Roundtable because we love their show. It's one of the best Dynasty shows out there that you can watch. Honestly, I watch it all the time. They've done 800 episodes, 800, and I don't know how this is possible because they both look like somewhat young men. I don't.
So, wow, this is just the subtle somewhat in there.
I mean, they don't look old. I mean, it's not like they got white hair or, like this. It's not like they got one foot in the grave or anything. Like they look like, they're healthy men. So they must have started doing this like when they were teen. I don't know when they started, but the Dynasty Warzone is who we have on tonight, Matt Babich.
Yeah, we talk about their podcast every week, and it's because it's one of the best resources of Dynasty information out there. Selfishly enough, it's also on the Player Profiler podcast network. You can catch them on Sunday nights. We have Memphis Young and Jerry Sinclair. I'll tell you what, if what we get tonight is 10% of what we were talking about backstage, Seth, you were late today, so you weren't a part of this conversation, but we had some really good discussions about the free agency fallouts already. So we have the Dynasty Warzone gang here in the stream for you guys. We're going to talk about, I guess we're going to draft our favorite free agent landing spots. So we're going to go around the horn and we're going to draft each of our favorite free agent landing spots. We're going to talk about the actionable advice for Dynasty gamers, what to do right now. I'm vamping a little bit because I don't see Memphis backstage. So I'm not sure what happened, but whenever we're ready, I guess we can, we'll just hop in with Jerry and get it going.
All right. The show starts right now. Oh, welcome, Jerry, to the Dynasty Roundtable. And Memphis is somewhere. I'm sure he will be with us shortly. But tonight, what we thought we'd do is we cover free agency. And we decided that what we were going to do before the show is draft our favorite landing spot.
Cool.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be the best player, right? It can be the best landing spot. And Matt Babich somehow got the first pick. I'm not sure how that worked out, but I think that was it's like who wants it? Matt will take it. So Matt Babich, you're on the clock. What landing spot did you like the most?
Yeah, so this is one that's not necessarily getting a lot of praise right now, but Josh Jacobs, a perennial touch leader in the NFL, has been slotted into the Green Bay Packers. And at first, everyone was confused. Are they going to keep Aaron Jones around? And then, boom, Aaron Jones is gone. So Aaron Jones is on the Minnesota Vikings. A.J. Dillon has no team right now, if I recall correctly. So Josh Jacobs is now the only running back of consequence on the Green Bay Packers roster. And this is a guy who 2 straight seasons over 80% opportunity share leading the NFL. So he's a touch hog, and he does it in both the rushing and the passing game. 2 straight seasons over an 11% target share. A 10% target share is a historical benchmark that essentially signals RB24 or higher in fantasy points per game dating back. And then when you consider his opportunity share, the share of the rushes he's going to see in the rushing game, his weighted opportunities and total, you can find that metric on playerprofiler.com. He's going to be in the top 12, which essentially means his odds of being an RB1 at the end of next season is pretty high. This is going to be an efficient offense, or at the very least, a talented offense that's going to have a lot of sustained drives. He's going to be the red zone touch leader in the backfield. So we're getting a lot of talk about this being a negative for Josh Jacobs, and maybe that just is the result of the move happening when Aaron Jones was still on the roster. But Aaron Jones is no longer on the roster, so Josh Jacobs is on a path for a 10% plus target share, a 75% plus opportunity share, and he's probably going to finish as an RB1 at the end of next season. And right now, at least, he's going in, I think, around the 3rd round in underdog drafts. That's a hell of a value, in my opinion.
What do you guys think of the Josh Jacobs landing spot? Do you think it's worthy of being the number 1 overall pick that Matt made it? Because I don't know.
Well, see, let me first say, wonderful intro. And when you meant we were somewhat young, you of course meant Randy was the somewhat, I assume, because I am just a young, dapper individual. No. Good to see that Randy made it back. He is a boomer, which is probably why his computer crashed, and that's why he wasn't here on the introduction. But Josh Jacobs is absolutely justified in being a first pick. It was also sort of the first big domino that hit, so everybody had an opinion on it. As a Detroit Lions fan, I hope he falls absolutely flat on his face in Green Bay, but no. The Raiders situation was subpar. I'll take the Packers in that young and upcoming offense 100 times out of 100. And it's funny because Josh Jacobs has had the weirdest trajectory out of really any 101-esque rookie running back. Najee Harris maybe aside, where he was the new hotness, and then everybody got super bored of him, and then he exploded, and then last year he was pretty ho-hum, and now he's right back at the top of the food chain. Love to see it. Randall, I know you loved it.
Oh, it was my favorite as well. If I'd have had the 101, I would have taken Josh Jacobs as well. All this guy does is have RB1 seasons. And to Jerry's point, all we do is find ways to hate on him. And I don't get it. Arguably the best quarterback that he's played with. I know Carr there for a year might have been something, whatever. The best skill guys, and nothing against Devontae Adams. And just overall, he's going to get a chance to flourish. I'm not sure how he fits in that Shanahan zone blocking scheme, but I really like this.
If you don't have competition, does it matter?
I mean, they're going to bring somebody in there.
Yeah, but somebody who's got the dynasty value of me.
And he will. It's basically a 1-year deal if you really look at it. So they could run the wheels off of him this year. I really liked it as well.
Yeah. Do you guys think he's a buy in Dynasty where he's currently valued? Let's just go with Keep Trade Cut has him at RB11 right now, player 66 overall in a Superflex league. Are you buying him there?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good.
If you're in a startup like that, especially with Superflex, that allows you to build around those cornerstones. It allows you to double tap quarterback and get a wide receiver one, and then you don't have to panic because you can still get him at that. You said 67 overall.
Yeah, 66. Yeah, 66.
So you're talking the middle of the 5th round. So if you walk away in the middle of the 5th round and you have 2 quarterbacks and 2 wide receivers you really like, and you get him as your RB1, you're great. You're absolutely great, because then you can layer in some guys that are a little bit older. And I think he's going to have a good 2-year run. And again, a guy with a track record of RB1 success. I love the spot.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs actually in 2023 had his lowest finish, which is not anything bad because all he's done is exceed our expectations throughout his career. So now I agree with you. The Green Bay, much better landing spot than I think he is with the Raiders. I think just something new, like the newness of it and a new system might scare some people off, maybe. But overall, yeah, I think his value is going up and should go up. And I agree with you. Memphis, you had the number 2 pick, right?
I volunteered for that. I got to talk about my guy, Perk Thuggins, aka Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
I don't think the internet had, and I'm really talking more from a Superflex perspective, but also from even a 1 QB perspective. I think he's going to be huge for Kyle Pitts. I think he's going to be huge for Bijan. Just a professional quarterback, and I like the move for Atlanta because they're kind of in a win now. I mean, they've got to outplay Baker, Derek Carr, and Bryce Young. And I think the division's very winnable. If you win your division, you get a home playoff game. You get a home playoff game, you have a shot. So I like Kirk Cousins. I think he's a pro. I've always liked, but as long as I've been doing Dynasty, I like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is the guy that you want if you miss out on those early quarterbacks, because Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff's another guy that are always going to give you back-end QB1 results at borderline QB 2-3 prices. That is absolutely what you're looking for. And he didn't take a step down in terms of talent. You didn't hear me mention Drake London. I'm not super sold on him. Not that I don't think that he can be good. He may prevail on volume alone.
Why do you just have to rain hatred down on all of our parades?
Well, it's just I'll be the one who gives you something to think about. I don't see Drake London as a Cooper Kupp, a Puka Nacua, a Justin Jefferson type wide receiver. Those are the wide receivers that have flourished in this McVay by way of Kevin O'Connell, now by way of Zach Robinson offense. I'm a little concerned if the right rookie lands there, if they decide to go rookie at 8 like Malik Neighbors, it's over for Drake London. It's a wrap. He becomes the 4th option in that offense. Be very careful with Drake London, but I love it from my boy, Captain Kirk. Cole's cash all around.
Let me just play devil's advocate real quick. Here's why I absolutely hated this move. Because I have so much Justin Jefferson spread throughout my leagues. And do you know how much confidence I have in the ongoing situation in Minnesota? Now, Randy, if you've ever watched the Dynasty Warzone, that dude will not shut up about Sam Darnold. So you are probably happy that he's got Sam Darnold right now. But there is just too much unknown with the likes of Jordan Addison, with Justin Jefferson, with TJ Hawkinson, and that sort of sucks. Now, I get it.
Sam Darnold didn't have any trouble supporting DJ Moore in Carolina.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. 3 games out of an entire career. My issue is just that, is the unknown with those elite level players like TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson. But I know you poo-pooed on Drake London a little bit, but there's no way he's not in an exponentially better situation than he was 2 weeks ago. And we get some Kyle Pitts. Now, I have long been a hater of tight ends, but the things that Kirk did for TJ Hawkinson, unbelievable. And even like Logan Thomas, a long time ago, and Jordan Reed. But so I'm excited. And listen, it's not Arthur Smith, so I'm fine. I'll take it. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, a lot of people too. I don't know if they realize this is Kirk Cousins is going from Kevin O'Connell calling the plays to Zach Robinson calling the plays, which it's pretty much a seamless transition because both those guys are McVay guys, and a lot of the pieces are going to work very similarly. So I love this. This was my number 1 pick. If Kirk Cousins was going to go anywhere, this is why I thought Kirk Cousins was a dynasty buy before free agency even started, because all the rumors out there were Atlanta wants him bad. And they proved that by signing into a massive contract, a 36-year-old quarterback. And you can agree or disagree with that, but it's good for it. It was going to be good for Kirk Cousins either way. If he stays, great. He has great weapons. If he goes probably to Atlanta, great. Good weapons over there too. So I love this move for Kirk Cousins. It sucks for those Vikings pass catchers, as you mentioned, because I have no idea how good Sam Darnold's going to be. But what do you have anything to add to this, Matt Babich, before we move on to pick number 3?
So you guys don't have faith in the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, JJ McCarthy?
JJ McCarthy is, it's funny. I've heard that many times myself, is that the Vikings will trade up to get JJ McCarthy. Just do a quick search of Adolpha Mensah. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Kessie Adolpha Mensah, the GM. He is 10-1 traded down in the draft as opposed to traded up. He's been very conservative in the draft, and I don't see him mortgaging the future to go up and get J.J. McCarthy. Could I see Sean Payton and George Patton doing that? Absolutely, because Sean Payton is a no risk it, no biscuit kind of guy in the draft, and so is, George Payton sets picks on fire. C. Wilson, Russell. So for me, Denver's the team where I think J.J. McCarthy winds up, and then you're hoping for, this is going to be gross, but Sam Darnold bridging off to Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. Sorry.
If they do end up with JJ McCarthy, I think he's fine. I'm a absolute Wolverine hater through and through, but we just haven't seen enough. And that's what sucks, is because they were very successful. But then you look at, He had chances against Alabama, down 7, a couple minutes left in the Rose Bowl. While the sun sets on the mountains that I can't think of what they're called right now. You know, I mean, he scored and he won the game. So
The Rockies, Jerry.
No,
The
it's
Rockies.
not the damn Rockies. But I'm curious. I don't think they're going to go. Sam Darnold's going to start, but I don't think he's going to be the man there.
I think
Anyway,
it might be this year in Nevada, by the way.
Thank you.
But
see, one of us is actually intelligent.
I'm seeking out like neutral, reasonable takes about JJ McCarthy, because all I see on my Twitter timeline are people saying that this is a can't miss elite prospect. I've seen comparisons to John Elway and Aaron Rodgers, and it infuriates me. So I have to seek some reasonable opinions.
Matt Babich hates JJ McCarthy. He compared him to Zach Wilson on our last show. So he's, anyway, it's okay. It's, we all have our takes.
I mean, that makes me happy. The Spartan in me, that makes me happy.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, that's probably the 101. And truthfully, but I picked Jacobs because I think he's a good story. I like Jacobs. He's kind of an unsung guy right now, but love Kirk to Atlanta and what it does for the team around him.
And I also like him as a buy in Dynasty. Wow, my voice just did things that I didn't know it still did. As at player number 78 in a super flex league, quarterback 21, and that's gone up according to Keep Trade Cut, and that's according to the public. I'm sure that Player Profiler has him ranked higher than that. To be honest, like I would have no problem, like especially if you're in a startup and you're at pick 10, like a buddy of mine was, and you're missing out on all those elite quarterbacks. Just go like the best receiver on the board or whoever you like, and then in the 4th round, if Kirk Cousins is probably going to be there. So anyway, like according to Keep Trade Cut at least, but who knows? It all depends on what league you're in. But Kirk Cousins, man, if like I like him a lot.
He's just been a beacon of consistency. As for the 3rd pick, I'm going to take this guy because I think he's going to look absolutely fantastic in that jersey. And he is also, it's wild that this man is the same species as I am. Because if you have ever seen Derrick Henry and you are currently looking at me, which you do not see, is 2 people that look similar at all. Because that man could crumple me up and put me into his pocket. I love the landing spot. I know there are risks to it with Lamar Jackson being Lamar Jackson, but there was a real opportunity that he ended up in a spot that was not good, and he went the way of Ezekiel Elliott. Now, he had a little bit of a resurgence, don't get me wrong, but if this man signs to Washington, and we got to watch Derrick Henry run for Washington on another crap team that's just not going to do anything, the value is going to tank. Derrick Henry, at 144 years old, his value is damn near peaking right now. Now, whether the production meets that, I don't know. We will see. But I love to watch it. I am excited to see that team in action. And I just want Derrick Henry to be relevant because I think he is truly one of the rarest specimens at running back that at least my generation has seen. Randy has seen more years of football. Yeah, shot. Got him. Thoughts? Does anybody hate it? Let me say that.
I don't love it for fantasy. I know everybody and their brother loves it, and I understand.
The biggest surprise I've ever heard.
Well, he's 30 years old, and he's got a career almost 11,000 carries under his belt. And I'll just say this. If Derrick Henry ends up being the missing piece,
hold on. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a little follow-up question, sir. A Saturn Ion cannot have 300,000 miles on it, but a semi-truck can have 300,000 miles on it. And Derrick Henry is not a Saturn Ion, my friend.
Yes, this is true. But if Derrick Henry is what it takes for the Baltimore Ravens to get where they want to go as a franchise, then that organization has been practicing malpractice for the last 4 years of Lamar Jackson. It's like Derrick Henry's been available for 2 years. You could have traded a ham sandwich for him, but instead you waited till he's 30. with 11,000 carries under his belt. By the way, you let a lot of your offensive line go. Your defense is going to be worse. I think this is a move that's a year too late, maybe 2 years too late. And now I will say, much to your weird semi-truck analogy, that Derrick Henry is not your typical 30-year-old running back. But I've seen this movie before. Marshawn Lynch to the Raiders. Had a few good games. Wasn't what we thought. And he wasn't even 30. So
not the Raiders, though.
We're
not talking about the Raiders, and we're not talking about Derrick Henry.
The only thing that he has is, we're all here on Player Profiler with our boy, the Podfather. He calls it the Alfred Morris corollary, that when a running back gets paired up with a rushing quarterback, there's a certain bump you can give the running back. I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't love it as much as you did. But I love you, Jer.
Yeah, I'm out for fantasy too. While we're all poo-pooing on
hateful bastards.
Wow.
Well, look, it's a value game. Like, am I gonna love seeing him come onto the field on Sunday Night Football in Ravens black, just stiff arming somebody? Absolutely, I'm gonna love it. But he's RB21 right now on consensus rankings. Per keep trade cut, you might be able to get a mid-second round pick for him this year. And if I'm sitting clearly a competitor, if I have Derrick Henry on my roster and still haven't gotten rid of him, or I'm just the worst tanker of all time. But if I can turn him around right now for a mid-second round pick, maybe a guy like, I don't know if Adonai Mitchell is going to make it to the mid-second round. But you're still getting a very quality rookie given this class, maybe even a shot at a Bo Nix if you're in need of a quarterback in Superflex. There's just so many opportunities for upside that you can sell for Derrick Henry right now. And the odds, in my opinion, of him finishing as a top 21 running back in fantasy this season are fairly slim unless he goes out there and scores 10 to 14 touchdowns, which is possible, but it's not really a bet I want to make at this point in time. They could sign Dobbins again tomorrow, and all of a sudden we're looking at the situation a lot differently.
Yeah, people have been predicting the demise of Derrick Henry for the last how many years?
In one of these years, we got to be right. This isn't
exactly. You know why the Native American rain dance works? You keep dancing until it rains. We just keep calling for the bottom on Derrick Henry till we find it.
Well, I don't know how this, I'm on Jerry's side with this. Like, how does it being paired up with Lamar Jackson, that can only help him out? And I know Keaton Mitchell got hurt late in the season, so he's probably not going to be available. But that going forward, if like mid-season, if Keaton Mitchell's back, I love that pairing as well as a change of pace back. So, and maybe they'll add another player. Justice Hill's there. I think that's a perfect complement to Derrick Henry. So, yeah, I think Lamar Jackson is going to help him out tremendously. And I have stopped trying to predict the end of Derrick Henry because, like Jerry said, at this point, he's just a different human being. And I know he's 30 years old, but Matt, you said,
look me in the eyes, Seth.
Look
me in the eyes and tell me that the Ravens are not going to draft somebody or bring in another free agent. Tell me
they
that
are.
seriously.
No. You're 100% correct. Hill. They are. But in the same way that, what was the little guy for the Titans, Randy, that they had that everybody thought was going to beat out Derrick Henry?
Dion Lewis?
Dion Lewis? Yeah, it was Dion Lewis because he did.
Tyjae Spears was going to take his job. I mean, we're talking about a dude that had 1,300 yards last year as a 29-year-old. And now he's going to end up in a situation where he's not the only person that the defensive coordinator circles, because you know who they were not circling? Treylon Burks. It was only Derrick Henry. And now you got to worry about Lamar Jackson. I think it's a good thing. And absolutely, if you're a contender, buying, oh my God, I will throw every Dirt, Terrace Marshall, DJ Chark, second round rookie pick out the door. You can have every single one of them. If I'm a contender, I will take Derrick and I will put him in as my RB2 or my RB3 and just hammer everybody home and then drink their tears out of the chalice of victory at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I can confirm that Jerry is, in fact, not afraid to burn second round picks to the ground.
Correct. The hit rate is too bad for me. Don't care. I like scratch offs as much as the next guy, but
yeah, no, and I think the Ravens are almost. You say they're going to draft a running back, and that might be true, but I would almost bet you, like at the end of the first round, that just circle a wide receiver, whichever one they like, whether it's Adonai Mitchell. I don't know. Xavier Worthy doesn't seem to make much sense. I think they need a bigger bodied outside receiver, and this draft has plenty of them. So I think that can only help the offense as well. And you said, Matt Babich, you'd be shocked if Derrick Henry scored, 10 to 14 touchdowns? What did you say?
I didn't say I would be shocked. We got to stop twisting my words. I said him scoring 10 to 14 touchdowns is not something I want to put all of my chips on. I don't want to overexpose myself to needing 10 to 14 touchdowns. Like Jerry made a lot of really good points about Derrick Henry. It's just at some point,
it's going to fall off.
This is going to slow down at some point, and this year might be the year. This
is the most actionable thing I can give to a dynasty player. If you have Derrick Henry at this point, he's dying on your roster. Because you don't have him unless you are a true contender. Because even if you think, I got a pretty good squad and I can sneak into the playoffs, you don't want Derrick Henry. So you have to come to terms with that. And if that's the case, I'm for it. I think this move helped that person. It's a very specific situation, but I think it helped that person.
All right. I'm up next. I picked number 4, and I'm just going to do this because I want to leave some better, talking points for you guys later on. So I'm doing the nice thing here as the benevolent show host. But I also kind of selfishly want to get this off my chest. Darnell Mooney. Did anybody see this coming? Darnell Mooney, $26 million guaranteed, $39 million contract. I know wide receivers get paid these days, but after 2 subpar years with the Bears, totaling 400 yards, barely 60 targets. Now we're not too far removed from a year where Darnell Mooney had 140 targets in 2021 when he was the primary option in Chicago. And Justin Fields, if you're a Bears fan like me, you'll know that Justin Fields was not great throwing the deep ball, and that was Darnell Mooney's primary, like he was a field stretcher down the field. Kirk Cousins, pretty good at throwing the deep ball. And I honestly don't think Darnell Mooney's, like, his value is going to go up because of this situation, because of the contract. But I don't know if it's going to go up enough for me. I saw a trade go down yesterday, and I doubt that this is available now. 4th round pick for Darnell Mooney after the news broke. That's criminal to me. Like, I don't know what he's worth. I'd like to have a conversation about this, but to me, Darnell Mooney might be one of my biggest buys in Dynasty, if not the biggest buy in Dynasty right now. Tell me I'm crazy, but I love the Darnell Mooney landing spot.
You're not
Jerry seems fired up.
No. Nothing crazy. But how does a person sign that big of a contract in a situation that's conducive to fantasy points and then a 4th round pick?
I don't know.
Like I talk about setting 2nd round picks on fire. If a 4th round pick fell out of my pocket, I wouldn't stop and pick it up.
Clip it, Jay. Clip it.
One of the
he's not
Jeff
wrong.
Bezos. How many millions would he had to drop? How many 4th round picks would Jerry have to drop before it was worth his time to stop and pick it up?
Yeah, but I played a lot of Dynasty with Jerry. He'll step over $100 bills to pick up nickels. So
that's true too. That's a Hakeem Butler joke. Thank you very much for that. There's that past trauma.
Ooh, man.
No, I love it because especially in best ball, but that's always the cheap cop out. I love Darnell Mooney in best ball. Who doesn't? But he's the kind of guy that in your like matchups where you're a big underdog, he's the perfect kind of guy to plug into your wide receiver 3 or like your second flex spot because he's capable of winning you a week. you know that he can go for 120 and 2 touchdowns. It's very, very, very possible. So I don't like wide receiver 3s, 4s that can't win me a week. It's like, I'm drawing a blank on a good name, but a guy who scores like 8 PPR points a week. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Give me a guy who's not going to kill me, because most wide receiver 4s kill you, but has that week winning upside, even in set your lineup.
Matt,
Yeah, before I go into it, who's the biggest homer of all time?
is it because he's a former Bear and I love the Bears? Is that one?
Oh, that could be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. That was a good intro into why I love this move.
We could have led the show with Aaron Rodgers and how he wants to be vice president, but anyway, like we could have done that.
It's not Trump or Biden. I'm in.
So I do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't care if The Rock is his running mate. I'll just sign off on both of them today.
I might just write in The Rock anyway. Fun fact, same birthday as me. Attaboy. May 2nd, brother.
Anyway. If Aaron Rodgers takes up the bid for vice presidency, that means Zach Wilson's technically third in line for the
There you go.
So, just something to think about. Darnell Mooney, currently on Keep Trade Cut, listed about an early third for 2024. I'm willing to pay that price any day of the week. We saw Kirk Cousins sustain 3 receivers, or should I say 3 pass catchers in Minnesota, the hierarchy being Jefferson, Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison, or KJ Osborne. You could even argue that he sustained all 4 of them to a degree. Darnell Mooney had 2 seasons prior to his injury in 2022 where he was top 25 in route win rate. Over a 40% mark is fairly significant for a receiver. It means he's getting open quite often. Both of those seasons was inside the top 24 in yards per route run, so he was efficiently producing. He was getting open. The trouble was he was on a bad offense that couldn't score, and so the touchdowns weren't there. He was top 20 in target share and in air yard share. So like you said, Seth, we're not very far away from him commanding a significant share of an offense. Now, is he going to be top 20 in target share in Atlanta? No. But the underlying metrics show that he is a solid receiver and he can produce efficiently when called upon. He's going to go to the best quarterback he's ever had in his life in Kirk Cousins. He's going to be against not number 1 corners because they're going to be worried about Kyle Pitts or Drake London. And Darnell Mooney's in a situation to truly, quote unquote, surprise people, depending on how tapped in you are, with a lot of fantasy success this year. And he's going to be a guy, switching to best ball real quick. I'm going to probably hop in some underdog drafts because I bet he is a steaming value on underdog drafts right now, especially.
Can I hit you with a stat? Because we were talking about, and I love the connection to Kevin O'Connell and Sean McVay, because we don't have a real big sample on Zach Robinson. Kevin O'Connell, the last 2 years, has been number 4 and number 3 in pass attempts. So if he's running a derivative of that offense, that McVay offense, we know the kind of volume we've seen with Kupp and Puka Nacua. There's going to be, leftover volume for a guy like Darnell Mooney. And I don't think anyone's really connected those stats with the passing attempts to that offense, but Mooney's going to get a handful. He's going to have some useful games.
Yeah, and like Matt said, I think if you put the piece of the puzzle together even more, like the way the NFL is valuing Justin Fields right now is not great. And that's the quarterback that Darnell Mooney has had for basically his entire career, aside from 2021 when he had Andy Dalton for a handful of games. So quarterback upgrade, situation upgrade. He's the wide receiver 2 there. And what I think is going to be a heavy volume passing offense. I think he's my number 1 buy in Dynasty right now. So we're going to take a quick informative segment break. We're gonna listen to the Podfather talk about the Dynasty Dominator, but on the other side, we're gonna go another round. We'll get in as many players as we can and maybe answer some of your questions in the chat. So stay tuned until after the break.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
We are
Go ahead.
Nailed
Sorry.
it.
We are back with the Dynasty Roundtable podcast. We were talking about the Falcons signing Darnell Mooney before the break.
Well, hold on just a second. I have to promote this show. We have to do our job, okay? Hold
They're
on.
on the show.
No. Well, yeah, but we still have to do it. It's still Theo's, you never know what Theo's going to do if we don't do these things. This show called the Dynasty Warzone is pretty good. Do you guys want to talk about it for a couple minutes and promote yourselves?
Jerry?
Oh, don't have me do it.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, you're
know
probably
damn
right.
well I am the little brother of this show, and I just tag along. I don't read the show sheets. I don't do nothing. Randy does all of it.
I tell you, I even said it outright to Matt. I was patently and blatantly offended that Jerry showed up on time for this podcast because it's a first. We stream live here on Player Profiler on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. But while I've got your attention, we'll actually be going next Monday night. Jerry has a little event, and I have a co-host, surprise co-host, and it's going to be huge. And we'll be talking about more of these free agent fallouts. But you're already in the right spot. You're following Player Profiler, and you'll find the Dynasty Warzone there. We do have a separate channel. We have guys that create content on our network that you wouldn't necessarily find on the Player Profiler network. So if you're a YouTube subscriber or an audio subscriber, you can find our channel. Just search Dynasty Warzone on whatever platform you enjoy, and you'll find it. And you'll find some interesting guys like Dallas, who does the rookie rundown, and Jesse, Mike, and Austin, who do the Dynasty War Games. It's a games themed show, so check it out, and it helps us grow.
Awesome. Yeah, I was lucky enough to finagle my way onto the show with Memphis.
No, don't sell yourself short. Jerry bailed on me,
doing that.
and I called for I put up the bat signal, and when you put up the bat signal, you need a hero, and I put up the bat signal in the Player Profiler content creator chat. Here he comes, Mr. Seth. We had a great show a couple weeks ago.
Oh, it was quite delightful. But Matt, you were talking about the Falcons before I interrupted you to talk about the Dynasty Warzone.
Yeah, well, our incredible editor of the Player Profiler articles, Joel, is in the chat as he usually is on Wednesdays. He had a great question. So was there anyone you would have liked the Falcons to sign other than Darnell Mooney? I can kick it to Jerry because he put in the chat Marquise Brown, which I can second. So, Jerry, you want to talk a little bit about, besides the selfish aspect of you having Marquise Brown shares?
I just sort of similar player. And I don't know. I've always liked Hollywood Brown. Randy will tell you that. He's never really been in a situation that's been awesome. I mean, while I literally spent 20 minutes tooting the horn of Derrick Henry in Baltimore, pass catchers there do not have the greatest amount of success. Rashad Bateman, looking at you, buddy. And then he gets to Arizona. Kyler gets hurt. So it's just, I would like to see him somewhere with somebody like Kirk Cousins, or if he ends up in Kansas City, which we were also talking about in the chat. I mean, good God, yes, please. Do I think he would be a superstar? No, but I think his value would absolutely skyrocket compared to where it's at now, which is like a wet sock, maybe?
2 wet socks. I'll just say this, and this will help you with rookies as well. When you go to a situation, you're either different than, the same as, or better than what's already there. And what I liked about Darnell Mooney, and I like the Hollywood Brown, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other. they bring the speed. They bring the ability to pull the safety out of the box, open up more running for Bijan, less double teams for Drake London. He just brings an element that they don't currently have. So I think Hollywood Brown would have been the right call as well. Check out Jerry.
All right. Well, Matt, I think you're back up on the clock for free agency draft.
Normally, I would have proposed a snake draft just to make it
we-
more fair. No.
We can do that. Okay.
Because this player on the board, I'm very happy that he's there, and he definitely won't make it to me at the end of the so-called second round. So let's talk about a signing that, because he stayed with his team of last year, went a little bit under the radar, started out as a franchise tag, turned into a pretty hefty extension for Michael Pittman Jr. This is a guy who I loved his attitude about the franchise tag, and you can tell that they were already having very fruitful talks for an extension, because he was like, hey, I don't want the franchise tag necessarily, but $20 million to play football is pretty cool. And he's worth more than $20 million. If Calvin Ridley's worth $23 million, then Michael Pittman's worth $35 million, because that's the difference between these two players. We talked about 40% route win rate being fairly good. Try 50% over the past 2 years, in each of the past 2 years for Michael Pittman Jr., top 10 in each year. He is one of the league's best route winners. He has a very good contested catch profile. He's got that big frame, very athletic. He's a red zone target monster. He had over 25% of the team's red zone targets last year. And then this year, I believe that stepped up to over 30%. So an elite target earner, elite red zone weapon, is going to be in an offense where I know we didn't see Anthony Richardson for very long. And in those few games, he didn't necessarily have the funnel mindset that Gardner Minshew had. But this is going to be a really fun offense. And Anthony Richardson showed a lot of promise throwing the football. I promise you, he can't be worse than Gardner Minshew. So we're going to get an elevated quarterback play, an even better offense than last year. Michael Pittman is just an incredible player. He doesn't get his flowers enough. I think he started to this year. But one of my favorite signings is the Colts securing Michael Pittman long-term, getting Anthony Richardson as alpha for the years to come.
Yeah, 2 questions I would throw back at you. You kind of answered one of them already. One, any worries about Anthony Richardson? I assume the answer is no, with running the football and the passing volume not being as high as it would have been with a quarterback like Gardner Minshew. And then 2, he is valued at, according to our trusty website, Keep Trade Cut, as the wide receiver 15, player number 38 overall. I assume, are you buying him at that price?
Yeah, that's tough, because it's a really fair evaluation, and we're looking at about a mid-first round pick right now for Michael Pittman. So and I know I hate giving these runaround answers, but it truly depends on the situation that I'm in. If I'm top to bottom, if I'm one of those Derrick Henry contenders that has, a loaded RB core, I don't have any quarterback issues, but I don't have stability at running back. Maybe I took shots on guys like Zay Flowers. Maybe a couple of years ago, I got bit hard on a guy like Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs, something like that. Maybe I'm struggling to put the receivers together. I got some pieces like Chris Godwin, but no true alpha in the group. I can consider trading a first-round pick if it's outside of the Neighbors tier. We got to be outside of Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, depending on the scoring format. So it's a really tough one. And I think in most situations where I have Pittman, I'm going to be willing to hold. And in most situations where I have the 105, 106, I won't be trading that for Michael Pittman Jr. necessarily. So I have to give you the long answer there, because it's a very nuanced evaluation of Michael Pittman Jr., but I am on the warm side of that value. Like, I want him on my teams, but I have to have the right situation to be willing to throw away a mid-first round pick.
Okay. Thoughts, guys?
Listen,
I mean,
I will just give a little caveat, and then I will let Randy go into whatever Randy's about to go into. The Dynasty Warzone is a very, very pro Michael Pittman show. So with that, Randall, you go, I will go.
I mean, Michael Pittman is the perfect wide receiver too, for the same reason I like Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. He's going to give you borderline wide receiver numbers. He had 100 year. That's almost 10 targets a game. You can't buy volume like that. That's fantastic. And they just signed Joe Flacco to be the backup. So pretty excited. If something happens to Anthony Richardson again, you got some cover. I like it. I'm a Colts fan. I'm a little biased. What about you guys? What about who's what? This was Matt. So what about you, Seth? Trying to hand off to the right guy.
Real quick though, too. I think you buried the lead a little bit with Flacco. He has an elite quarterback to learn mechanics from. That's also going to be huge. He's got a veteran who's been in all these situations, won a Super Bowl. He's going to be around to mentor him instead of Gardner Minshew's erratic ass.
I mean,
Taking shots at Gardner Minshew.
I love Gardner,
but deservedly so. I mean, I'm all for Michael Pittman. Like we'll hype up Garrett Wilson like he's the second coming, and his production has not been what Michael Pittman's is.
That's a great call. Like Chris Olave is another guy. You can't get past the Ohio State on the helmet, except Michael Pittman's doing the thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand why they are ahead. I just when it comes to points, yeah, he's only got 4 touchdowns in those seasons, and that's going to limit what he does. But I've got stability. I've got a guy that's got proven track record. I'm for it. And if Anthony Richardson pops, oh my goodness gracious, we are going to be just cooking.
Yeah, there's probably like you put it in terms of rookie picks, Matt. Like there's probably 3 rookies I wouldn't trade Michael Pittman for. Caleb Williams in a super flex league, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Outside of that, I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. over all the rookies.
Brock Bowers and tight end premium. Brock Bowers and tight end premium, I think.
I'd give me Michael Pittman. If it's just a 1.5.
I mean, it's close. I think I'm with Pittman too, though.
I'll just trade Brock Bowers. I'll get Michael Pittman plus. Just give me Michael Pittman and all the plus because I know I'm going to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably right. I probably just, hopefully nobody from my leagues is listening because I probably just gave up some value there.
Well, Harry Snowman, a resident player profiler warrior. So shout out to you for being in the chat.
Absolutely.
That's the real takeaway, right? Like I'm sure you guys, Pittman's a resident of your podcast as well. So I'm sure you guys were also steaming him up in last offseason just as we were. So the real ones already have Pittman. And so you shouldn't have to worry about this evaluation right now. You should be wondering, like, maybe do I sell Michael Pittman if I can get a really good value on him? Because this is, he was wide receiver, 18 to 22 last year. So,
yeah.
In full point PPR, Michael Pittman was wide receiver 13.
Whew.
And missed a game because of the concussion.
4 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns.
Oh, my God.
The power of volume.
Mm-hmm. Memphis, I think it's your pick, unless you have some final thoughts on Pittman.
No, I'm going to keep this one short. I just like the landing spot, and I think he'll have a chip on his shoulder, and he's only 28, even though he's not even 28. He'll turn 28 in July. I really like Joe Mixon to Houston. Houston was one of those spots we had earmarked, and I'll take the dip on a guy who he's had good volume in his career, but not had like that crazy Derrick Henry volume. So I think I was not expecting to get a bonus year. I thought last year was the last year of real Joe Mixon value. I did not think that a team of that caliber of offense would trade for him. You got the wide receivers, they've got the quarterback, they've got a first round pick. They can add in the draft. Dameon Pierce is there, so they don't necessarily have to go out and draft a rookie. It's pretty insulated. You may only get 1 year, but this is a great opportunity for a great offense and a guy that, like I said, even though he's been in the league a long time, he's only 28. Well, he'll be 28 in July.
Well, that's who I was going to take. So that's not super awesome of you. I mean, dude's coming off 1,400 yards, and there was a chance that his value absolutely fell off a cliff. And now we're in a situation where it's not. I mean, he's going to be relevant. There's no way you can think it's a worse situation because he's not in Cincinnati and he doesn't have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and everybody's got to worry about them. But as far as what the situation could have been for Joe Mixon, I'm content. I'm pretty happy about it. Like, I've definitely got some teams with some Joe Mixon. I'm cool with that. Me and him are going to be chilling. Me, him, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, and Nico. Let's go.
Yeah, it's also, I don't know how you guys like to build your dynasty teams, but I don't really like to invest much in running back. That's just how I like, give me wide receiver, over running back all day long as far as like team building. And in super flex, give me an elite quarterback. I kind of push running back to the side. So what I like to do is now acquire, these veteran running backs. Like, give me the Derrick Henry, give me the Joe Mixon as the cherry on top of my roster as the last hole that I need to fill. That's just how I like to play dynasty. And we were talking about it with Dan Williamson. He likes Joe Mixon too. I'm sure
Absolute
Dan
goat.
likes him even more right now with this Houston landing spot. I mean, it's just as good as the Cincinnati land. Like, it's you could consider it a lateral move. I think it's probably even a little bit better because Cincinnati might lose T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd's a free agent. Who knows what's going to happen there? But yeah, I would be buying Joe Mixon because currently he's ranked. I had it pulled up, RB27, player 129 overall according to Keep Trade Cut. Yeah, on a win now team. Yeah, late second, mid second for Joe Mixon. I'm doing that all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys encapsulated it perfectly. I mean, Joe Mixon's been one of my favorite unsung running backs for the past few seasons. He's just been a perennial value because, there were legal situations, and then we're predicting he's getting cut. And then this is one of those situations where people were kept predicting that Joe Mixon was going to get cut. Eventually they were right. And then they were wrong because he was traded away. But he goes into an offense where his only competition is Ty Chandler. And that's a really promising situation. With Madison and Chandler, I would be very, very shocked to see them spend any draft capital above. Honestly, I'll predict round 6, round 5, maybe. Even that would potentially shock me if they spent a 5th round pick on a running back, given the 3 they currently already have in the fold. So we're looking at his competition, and that's not worrying anybody. So we know he's going to be a touch leader on that team. Team's going to have to get back to basics a little bit. They're not going to be putting a rookie QB or Sam Darnold in a 500 passing attempt offense. So they're going to have to figure that out. And with a bad quarterback comes a lot of checkdowns. So Joe Mixon has a lot of receiving upside as well. So you can always talk me on board for Joe Mixon.
Now, as far as who I am going to take with the next one, the biggest signing that there was, you, however, may be a good host, but as a guest, I will take the low-hanging fruit, Saquon Barkley, to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Randall, we're going to have a little discussion, buddy, because I know you don't like it. I don't really get how. Because listen. What? No. Oh, you're waiting.
Well, you're bringing me in. You're tagging me.
I know we're going to talk, but you're going to let me finish.
I'm on the ring apron. I got the tag rope.
That the tush push exists, but the amount of red zone opportunities that man got in New York was like 6 or something. And I think running backs in Philadelphia last year got like 18 or something. And that's not counting the tush push. He's going to see an increase in opportunities. The offense is not going to be Tommy DeVito. So I don't got to worry about an offense going for 126 yards in half. And this is another situation where a defensive coordinator goes, well, I've got Tommy DeVito or I've got Saquon Barkley. Who should I focus on? When you got to do that with the Eagles, it is not as easy. So I was happy to see it. I don't have tons of Saquon because I, like Seth, don't really like to pay tons of money for running backs. I tend to take the cast-offs that everybody hates. I zig when everybody's zagging. But on the few teams that I do have him, I am so much happier that he's an Eagle over a Giant. Randall, retort, my friend.
It's all about the touchdown volume and the passing volume. DeAndre Swift played 14 games last year, 15 games last year, set career lows in targets and receptions. What buoys these older running backs, and don't forget that Saquon's going into year 6 or 7?
Yeah.
He's been around a hot minute too.
He's got great quads though. Still.
He sure does. He will not get the volume in the receiving game. That's what buoys the guys like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's not going to fall off the face of the earth, though, either. I mean, if he gets 30 or 40, I'm cool with that.
So what, 2 a game? You're cool with 2 a game. 2 targets a game. You're cool with that.
Wait, what did he get last year?
You said it. A lot more than that. I don't know. I can look it up real quick.
4.3 targets per game last year.
So we're going to cut his targets in half, and you're thrilled.
Oh, I was talking about receptions. I didn't realize we said targets. That's mine. I'm not a good listener.
2.9 receptions.
See, so we're going to cut that in half. Because if you cut targets in half, you have to cut the receptions in half. I mean, and to your point, the tush push is not going anywhere. We joked last year that this is a great Ricky Bobby reference, that he was Cal Naughton Jr. Hey, you think maybe I could win a race? Well, Jalen will look at him and say, well, if you scored the touchdowns, how do I score the touchdowns? That's how this works. He had 15 rushing touchdowns for a reason. They're not going to hand it off to Barkley. So
there's no
Steve,
way
I like the Eagles.
Those words are coming out of your mouth. They literally just signed this man to a juicy contract. He's the most polarizing free agent.
Look at it again and tell me it's more than a 1-year deal. Look at the details.
But here's the thing. This is Dynasty. And you know what? Everybody can say, oh, it's Dynasty. You keep players forever. I need to worry about 1 year. That's all I need to worry about. And if he stays on the Giants, am I excited to have Saquon Barkley on my team? No. I got Tommy DeVito leading that offense. Come on.
I am consistent, sir. These are the same concerns I had last year with DeAndre Swift, and I was right.
Here's the problem with DeAndre Swift, though. Maybe he's just not great.
Or just maybe he didn't get the.
He's had 3 NFL teams in the last 11 months.
Please don't put me in a spot where I have to defend DeAndre Swift.
Just saying, if a person has 3 divorces in 11 months, who do you think the problem is? Do you think it's the significant other? I bet it is not.
That makes me feel great about the Bears.
All right, well, that might have been a decent point, but what if so you brought up red zone touches first. What if I told you that Saquon Barkley was 9th among all running backs in red zone touches last year after finishing an RB9 in fantasy points per game on the Giants that you said you hated?
Then you would make me look stupid.
And then what if I also told you that, DeAndre Swift had less red zone touches, but the same number of goal line touches in 2 more games? So this is to Memphis's point of he's going to lose some value on those touches. But to your point, he's going to a much better offensive line, a much more efficient running game. I don't know necessarily. I don't think it's as bad as Memphis does. I think I'm somewhere in the middle of the two of you. But I don't know if I'm going to be selling, because right now there's so much hype around this move. You're going to have to sell your soul to get Saquon Barkley on your dynasty teams.
Hey, let me just say, if you have him, he's a sell. Like I'm excited.
Okay, there we go.
I'm 100% excited for the situation that he's in, but the amount I can profit off of a 27 or 28-year-old running back, yes, I will take that. Thank you very much.
I just looked up his ranking on Keep Trade Cut, which is, the public, right? So Saquon Barkley is valued very closely to a 2026 early first, 2025 mid first. I'm trying to find you probably, I'm not seeing any.
I mean, we're peak hype just because he just signed, so he's gonna be even more expensive now. It's gonna go down by the time we hit May. Once everybody's on the clock and they go, oh, I can have player XYZ, whoever. I think it'll dip a little bit, but I'm with you. It's his value is going to be too hyped. I am just excited that I don't have to see him in his Giants uniform. And I don't think he really wanted to play there either, which is why he literally went to their rival. And he's a Penn State guy. Now he's back in Philadelphia. renewed passion is what I'm hoping for. Listen, hope in one hand, shit in the other, see which one fills up, but I'm hoping on this one, boys.
I can't believe the Giants didn't franchise tag.
Well,
That's true.
That was really
it would have been
surprising.
twice. It would have been twice, and I think they were just ready to move on. But the Eagles last year rushed the ball 510 times. 30% of those rushes went to Jalen Hurts. They had 22 rushing touchdowns last year.
But that's not sustainable either.
It's 2 years in a row. It's the only 2-year sample I have.
I agree.
So it's going to change now. We've had 2 different offensive coordinators. It's been all tush push, and Jalen Hurts had 70% of the rushing touchdowns.
DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders are not Saquon.
Great. So you're expecting all this volume, and it's just not going to be there.
I'm not. Okay, there's no way he doesn't get volume. He's got the Boston Scots of competition, which I respect the man as a professional athlete, and I'm sure he could pummel me into the ground. But as far as a dynasty asset, no thank you.
What about Kenneth Gainwell?
Oh, cool. There's another one. There's another one who's won me a lot of dynasty championships. Crickets.
Sarcasm was reeking off of that one. To moderate here, so I want to gauge just how out you are on this situation. So this upcoming year, where would you project him to finish in terms of fantasy points per game?
Barring that
we're gonna say the same exact number, and I just feel it in my bones.
Yeah. Healthy season. Like, things go to your vision. But
I'm gonna write it down.
I think he'll finish better than the late RB2 that was DeAndre Swift. I would say somewhere around RB 14, 15.
Oh, okay. No, RB8 is what I thought.
Well, congratulations, you're wrong.
I think that's fair personally. Like I said, I think I'm probably in the middle. Like I think he's going to be like right around RB12. So it's funny to be like, that's how good Saquon Barkley is. Like, to be that out on the situation and then like, yeah, RB15 is. But Seth, you haven't gotten much of a chance to get your opinion out on this one. So what do you think?
I just don't like running backs, man. I don't like it. The whole situation, if somebody came to me with a good offer for Saquon, he's on the table for sure right now. Cause his value, like Jerry was saying, just went up. So again, I was telling people to hold him until somebody signed him, because there weren't too many situations out there where his value would go down, because the Giants offensive line was terrible last year, and Daniel Jones got hurt, and their quarterback situation, they signed a quarterback today. I can't remember who it was. Drew Lock, maybe. Drew Lock today. So it's going to be the Drew Lock, Daniel Jones QB battle of all time here. So anyway, anywhere but New York would have been a better situation, and now you can shop them.
I'll just throw this on the volume thing. The Eagles rushed the ball 510 times last year. It was the 6th most in the league. So if DeAndre Swift got 229 total rush attempts and Jalen Hurts got 150, where does all this volume come from for Barkley? Are they going to finish higher than 6? Are they going to jump up to number 1 at 541? So why wouldn't they?
Didn't they just sign the biggest free agent running back in
great.
A decade?
You think AJ Brown made the boo-boo face on the sideline last year, mister? Yeah, run it more than you were already running it and taking more.
Yeah, and they started losing when he started doing that. Listen, as a Devonta Smith owner in numerous spots, I was very salty about it.
Someone in Philadelphia is taking it in the shorts, and I'm banking on it being Saquon Barkley. Someone has to. There's only so much volume.
I think that's a very well-spirited debate, I think. So
Randy's old and he sucks. I win.
Let us know what you think in the chat. You in on Saquon this year or not? I have one more. Well, I'll do one more real quick. And Jerry touched on it. And it's really going to be a player profiler take here. The Bears signed DeAndre Swift, and I think the real actionable takeaway that I had was I want to buy Roshan Johnson in the leagues that I don't have him, because DeAndre Swift is not good in pass protection. Roschon Johnson is. I think Roschon Johnson was number 14th amongst running backs in pass protection grade, according to PFF. And Roschon Johnson can still do it. Like, he can still catch passes. DeAndre Swift's also not played a full season in the NFL yet. Last season, he missed an injury. I mean, he missed a game because he was sick, but he was dealing with an ankle injury as well. And then before that, 3 games here, 4 games there. So there are going to be opportunities for Roschon Johnson still, even with this DeAndre Swift signing, to get some serious touches, especially in the passing game, because he's going to be on the field with a rookie quarterback in pass protection situations, because Roschon Johnson's your best answer there. So I'm still riding the Roschon Johnson train, the ship. I'm captaining it. And I'm telling you right now, I think you still need to go buy him, because I'm still right there, and his value just went down. And I'm not sure how good DeAndre Swift is. Jerry alluded to it earlier. I'm not sure how good he is, and I don't know if he's going to stay healthy. So give me all the Roschon, please. What do you guys think?
So you're drafting DeAndre Swift as one of your favorite free agent signings because of the implications on Roschon Johnson's fantasy value.
Yeah, I didn't
make sure I'm getting.
I didn't when it was like the first signing too. They let off free agency with that. It's like, really 8? I don't know. I didn't like the move, to be honest, for the Bears, but
I think there's a decent chance, and by that I mean 25 to 50%, that this Swift signing ends up being the Bears going out and getting their third down and long down and distance back, because of those points that you mentioned, that Roschon Johnson is better. I think he's a better rusher and a better pass blocker. So if those things are true, if he is a better rusher than DeAndre Swift, that fits the mold of more of a earlier down back, where you aren't telegraphing your play by having a guy like Swift in. Because if they're going to be, I don't think anyone's afraid of DeAndre Swift as a rusher. And so if he comes in, my thought is, if I'm playing defense and the Chicago Bears bring him in, that it's probably a pass. But when Roschon Johnson's in, and he hasn't had a lot of opportunity to prove this, but that's someone who's going to keep you more honest. And so while I don't think it's probable, we could look back in week 10 and be like, oh, Roschon Johnson's getting the primary carries. And then we got DeAndre Swift coming in for relief, third down, long down and distance, 2-minute drill, those pure passing situations, because of what he can do in the passing game. So I do like Roschon Johnson. I'm willing to throw away a late third to go get him.
Yeah, I am with Seth on this one. I am in the Roschon camp as well. It's the same reason why I love Chuba Hubbard in Carolina. No competition. I'm telling you, I fell for the banana in the tailpipe last year that was Miles Sanders. And they gave him 4 years and $24 million. How can he not be the guy?
Yeah.
And then he was just not very good. And I hate to give Jerry credit, but I'm going to give him credit. He is right. DeAndre Swift is on his third team in 11 months. He might be the problem. And the one concern, the one fly in the Roschon Johnson ointment could be Khalil Herbert, but he's not the healthiest guy around either. I wouldn't have drafted this one. I get why people would be excited. You're going to see Caleb Williams. You're going to see DJ Moore. Maybe they add. I've seen them rumored to be in on Mike Williams. It's going to be a fun offense. They also signed Gerald Everett. The Bears offense is going to be a trip this year. But I will bank on. I'll take the cheaper of the two options, and I'll go with Roschon as well. I like that take, Seth.
I'm just going to double down. I really want to argue. I do, but I can't. I think DeAndre Swift is better than I give him credit for. He is very fun and he's very dynamic to watch. I just don't know if he can be relied on. And I don't want to rely on any of the Bears running backs, but Roschon's going to be the cheap one. So if I can have him and I can stash him, I'll do it. Because to this point, no, he hasn't really shown me anything that he can do, but he's also virtually free. And as we get into rookie drafts, last year's later round rookie picks, those are Those are napkins. You can get those for nothing, especially if you're on the clock in your rookie draft. Someone's going to fall in love with a pick and they want somebody that's falling and you just boop, boop. Thank you. So I'm all for it. DeAndre Swift is going to be expensive. This absolutely could be my biggest mistake is in this whole offseason is not trusting him, because there's a chance he goes there and he is the guy, because he is talented and he is good. I am a historian by trade, so I have to use history to determine what the future is going to look like. And thus far, I have seen.
Except in the case of Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry, I digress.
And we're back. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Is there any players we didn't talk about real quick that you want to mention? Any players that come to mind that we can touch on real quick?
I didn't get the contract, but I like Calvin Ridley to Tennessee. It says we're going to draft an offensive lineman and we're really going to see what we got in Will Levis. So that I don't love giving Calvin Ridley $50 million. I kind of like it for him because he lost the time because of the gambling suspension, and he just now got his second contract. So I'm glad that he got paid. But I really like it for Will Levis, because if you're a Will Levis guy, and I am, we're going to get the chance to see if he can do it. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Chigakonkwo, Tony Pollard. I mean, they put some weapons around him. Use that first-round pick on an offensive lineman like Joe Alt, and all of a sudden you're cooking, and you'll know. So I like that move.
Second in cap in the NFL through 2026. They have so much money to burn. So I completely agree with you.
I'd love them to add Hollywood Brown, add that speed component.
Why do you got to just ruin everything that's good in my life?
Jerry, is there anybody that we didn't talk about that you'd like to right now?
I don't know if I would like to, but I guess it's worth mentioning Russell Wilson to the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Deontay Johnson's gone, so that sort of sucks, but here's to hoping that George Pickens turns into Russell Wilson's DK Metcalf. You know, I mean, I've got some shares of Pickens. I was not the biggest guy on him, but he has a chance. It's got to be better than Kenny.
Yeah, I was on the Hurdle, which you guys should go check out. I think it's the draft rankings on YouTube. I'm on there every Wednesday with Cody Carpentier and Maddie Kiwoom, and Maddie laid the smackdown on me. I'm not gonna lie, because I was, until I had this conversation with him, which is why I love having these conversations. I was like, oh my God, Arthur Smith. You know, I don't know if I can trust, George Pickens this year. Like I love George Pickens, but Arthur Smith is there. And he said, Seth, he was actually a pretty good coordinator in Tennessee and actually fueled a lot of AJ Brown's monster seasons. So it actually might be great for George Pickens. If Arthur Smith is just a coordinator and not a head coach, this might actually be pretty good. And then I thought about it and I thought, you know what? You might be right. And I might be wrong. So I kind of like George Pickens this year. I'm coming around on George Pickens in Dynasty as a nice Dynasty value. So I like that. I like Russell Wilson for that reason, that signing for George Pickens.
I think it probably helps Najee too a little bit. There's another running back that I always go after because everybody hates him, and I'll just take him. All right. He's gonna play. He can come to Papa's roster.
Yeah, that's such a Arthur Smith guy too, Najee. Matt, do you have a guy that you want to bring up? There's one that is a favorite of the show that got a pretty good landing spot.
You talking about Gabe Davis?
No.
Oh, I'm just looking at the list trying to figure out.
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about.
Mike.
Mike is back.
Mike is back, baby.
It took a minute to click.
He's back.
Absolutely. You've already seen me. I've posted the meme of the man shouting out.
Make it a three-peat. Make it a three-peat.
Mike smiling down on him. Yeah. I mean, I wrote about this dude as being one of my favorite tight ends as one of my first articles for Player Profiler in 2021. I've been on this train. Unfortunately, I think Theo Johnson may have usurped him as the most athletic tight end prospect of all time. But the fact of the matter is he's the one in Cincinnati paired with Joe Burrow. He's the Tyler Boyd slot replacement, because you know what's better than a slot receiver? A slot receiver that's listed as a tight end that you get to pay less money. And that's what Mike Gesicki is. And I love the prospect of him in this offense, especially because T. Higgins is not elite. So I'm not worried about, there's a potential in any game for Gesicki to be the second most, just like Tyler Boyd. You have those random pop-off Tyler Boyd games. We're finally going to see Gesicki used in a vertical passing game, and it's going to be so exciting. Thank you for reminding me of that.
I just want you guys to know that we are so fortunate that we cannot see under Randy's desk right now, because that man has not shut up about Mike Gesicki since that man joined the league, and it would have been an X-rated podcast had it been. The joy in his eyeballs is something that I have not seen in years.
I got to be honest, between Mike Gesicki winding up in Cincinnati and Sam Darnold getting the opportunity to start again, free agency's coming up Memphis. I'm absolutely. And by the way, I checked. No, Mike Gesicki is still more athletic than Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson's got a very poverty 77th percentile agility score, whereas our main man Mike Gesicki is in the 90 plus. He's in the 98th percentile in agility. Get the hell out of here with Theo Johnson. The only good Theo is Theo Grimminger. If you know, you know.
That's the off season is coming up. Memphis, man. Sam Darnold, Mike Gesicki. That's one thing I share with you, Matt. Is one of my very first article I wrote was about Mike Gesicki and how I thought he could be the tight end 1 overall in fantasy, right there with Travis Kelce, and that loser game show sound for that take. But hey, man, you gotta swing the bat. You gotta swing sometimes. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome. Why don't you guys take some time and promote what you got to promote?
I will promote because Jerry does not like to. It's a Dynasty Warzone, guys. It's just search Dynasty Warzone. Like I said, it's not so much if you're already checking out Player Profiler, you're not going to miss us. We drop on Wednesdays in the podcast, live on Sundays, but there is other stuff going on behind the scenes. And I can't promote the guys that are doing content on our channel enough. The rookie content is flowing. The free agency stuff's flowing. We just love this. And this coming Monday, I think that would be like the 19th, 18th, whatever that is. I'll be on there with Casey from the FF Dynasty. So if you longtime podcaster, so if you know the FF Dynasty, Casey Myers, and we may get a Jay Wayne stop by as well. They're going to be our guest on Monday night, special Monday night preview. We'll be wrapping up free agency, and then it's all rookies, baby. Jerry, anything to add?
No, Theo just showed up. He just missed his cameo on our show, but he is now in the chat, so good to see the homie. No, I mean, you said it all. It was fun, guys. I mean, I could talk this kind of stuff all day. That's why we do. And you mentioned we have 800 episodes, which is absolutely wild that Randy has not smothered me in my sleep long ago.
Yeah, I just looked at ours. I think this might be 39 or 40 for us, Matt. And that's not even counting the ones that we did on my channel before we came over to. So it's probably more than that. So we got a ways to go to catch up to you guys, but hopefully we can make it to 8.
Well, Randy's the psycho. Randy is the psycho. I give him a lot of stuff, but the man is an absolute animal when it comes to this. So
yeah, it's definitely like, and this is no smoke. And I told you guys, or I told Randy this on the Dynasty Warzone. It's one of my favorite shows that I watch every week. It's a must watch. So you got to tune in to the Dynasty Warzone. Matt, anything to promote before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I've been writing on my free agency outlooks for Player Profiler. You can find those on playerprofiler.com/articles. Of course, being where we are, a lot of these outcomes have already happened, but Marquise Brown dropped yesterday, and that's still a looming situation. So if you want to think why or read why I think he's going to go to the Chiefs, you can head to playerprofiler.com/articles and give that a read. And you can also catch me on the Player Profiler News YouTube channel. You just search up Player Profiler News. That's where all of our breaking news type stuff is going to go. Player Profiler Today, it's the new home of that show. And I will be hosting Player Profiler Today on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central. So join me there on the Player Profiler or Player Profiler News YouTube on Saturdays alongside you every Wednesday.
Yeah, you guys got to go subscribe to that YouTube channel, Player Profiler News on YouTube. There's been like so many videos, and I'm the YouTube manager, and I'm supposed to keep track of it. They've got my eyes spinning around. Like they're doing so much good work over there. Shout out to Bradley Stalder, Jack Kavanaugh, you, Matt, Han Rungt. I'm probably forgetting somebody, so I apologize. Toomey's the man. Especially on TikTok. You need to go follow him on TikTok, FF Strategist. So many good people working here. And I never thought I'd be able to. This is a special moment for the Dynasty Roundtable right now. Because as you guys know, every time I end the show with nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. But the dude might be a vice president candidate. He was
also tossing out Sandy Hook conspiracy theories, so I think we might need to cool it on the trip to the White House.
Well, let's not focus on the negative, okay?
All right,
this man might run for he might be on a presidential ticket. All right. Never in my wildest dreams would have I ever thought that Aaron Rodgers would Jeopardy host. Sure, fine, whatever, you can have that. Go to another team, the New York Jets, one of the biggest media market. Yeah, that seems like an Aaron Rodgers move. Date supermodels, fine, whatever. President? Vice president?
No, it should be Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is the only NFL player that should be the president.
That's a vote I would make.
Skittles for everyone.
That's right. It should be Marshawn Lynch. They ought to maybe him and Kanye West bring back the birthday party. You remember that? Kanye West on the he ran for president on the birthday party. Anyway, all right. I think that's going to do it for us. I never end the show well. So nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if he's the vice president or not. See you next time. Wiseman for Heisman. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.